Hi everyone, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here with another PB&J card class. This is number 5 in our New Year New Card Sketches video series. And today's sketch is all about using just a simple border design. And I think this is such a I don't know, overlooked card design that is just works so well. It's so easy to do. So here's a look at the sketch. It's simply a border design off on the left, or you could swap it to the right, and a panel. And that's it. I'm working on a standard size card and just leaving it myself open to whatever I want to add to that panel. So here is what I've prepped in advance. This is in my envelope. I have cut some border elements, and then I haven't cut the panels yet that go on top because I wasn't sure what stamps I'd be picking. So I wanted to leave myself some flexibility for how big I wanted that stamped panel to be. Now I did cut the Line of Hearts border die, which I love. I think that's just such a fun die. Oh, and real quick, I'll mention all of the sketches featured in this video series are all together in an ebook with 36 card ideas. So if you'd like to show your support for this series, let us know you want more, go ahead and purchase that ebook. It's linked for you down below. So like I was saying, I did cut that Line of Hearts border die, but I do make a change to that. So I just wanted to mention that, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So here I am going to paint my image in, and I'm using Distress Ink Reinkers used as watercolors. I have a cup of water and a paper towel handy, and I've stamped this onto Canson 140-pound watercolor paper, and this is stamped in the color of watering can. I even went ahead and stamped my sentiment on there because I felt like it was just handy. It was easier and I knew what I wanted at that point. Usually I don't know what I want till it's painted, but this time I did. And this is from Penny Black's Cute Couple stamp set. And so you can see I just filled up that panel, that leftover panel. Once I had stamped it, then I went ahead and trimmed it down. And I'm just going to paint this in. I'm also using Memento Toffee Crunch pressed on an acrylic block to paint the kiddos. And I love this image. It could be used for Valentine, but wow, it's great for anniversary or friendship. Just lots of different ways that you can use this. Any type of love themed card that you might be making. Engagement, I think it would even be fun for that. So I'm painting these guys in, and then my typical process is that from the Reinker ink, I will go ahead and pick up the color directly onto my paintbrush, and when it comes off that palette, it's going to be the most concentrated, and I will put that down where I want the color to be darkest. Then I just rinse off my brush, pat it dry on the paper towel, and go back and blend. So you'll see that what I'm going to do here. And then you can always go back and darken things up by putting more layers on top. So for me, watercolors is very forgiving and pretty quick compared to like marker coloring and pencil coloring. I also feel like it's easier on my hands and my wrists, but you color with whatever makes you happy. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes we feel like we need to be trying all the latest and greatest, but if you have a way of coloring images in that brings you joy and is fun and you like it, I say keep doing that till you don't want to anymore. Don't feel like you have to always be trying, or oh, I've done all these cards with markers, I should be using something else. If markers is what you love, then keep using markers. So I'm just going to continue painting these guys in. And like I've done on the other cards, I did pick a color scheme as I painted in my first image and tried to incorporate that throughout the cards. And I had a lot of fun with that. Just one, it limited the number of decisions I had to make. So I kind of had this color scheme and I would see how I could make it work. It was like a fun little challenge. You don't have to do that by any means, but it just, I don't know, it was just something fun, so I thought I would mention it again. I think this little pair is so cute. I love their arms, you know, together there, and they're looking up, and the birds are a part of that stamp set as well. And all of the products that I'm using are listed and linked for you down below. So all of the penny black stamps and dies and everything is listed for you and linked. And then there is a section called other supplies. And in that I list my ink colors, my paintbrush, my papers, all of the colors I'm actually using of the Reinkers to paint everything in. So if you've ever wondered about those, you will find that down in that description box. So I first thought I was going to keep this just all light yellow, but then I went back and kind of gave a little bit more emphasis to some of the stripes. And I am just drawing that before I move on to the next section. I really didn't have to. I don't know why I did. Sometimes when I'm making these videos, I'm just doing this how I would always do it. And so I'm not always really thinking to be super exact. I'm just showing you how I do it. And so sometimes when I go back and do the voiceovers or watching them, I think, why did I do that? And that is one of those moments, drawing that. I really didn't need to try that. But here I am painting the girl, and so fun. I love when the illustrators put stripes. I don't know why, but I think it's because it's just another opportunity to add more color. It's interest that's already built into the design, and you could do this so many different ways. You could stamp this and paint it so many different ways, and it would keep looking different every time. And I really like that. You can get a lot of use out of your stamps, and it's a good investment. And we'll just dry that a little bit. That time I know why I dried it, because I was moving on to the skirt, and those two areas are adjacent. The top and the tights basically sort of touch where the skirt is. And if I hadn't dried that, when I put that rich bold red down, it would start blending into the shirt or down into the tights. So if you find your paints are running all over, dry in between adjacent sections or jump around on your image when you're coloring them in. Now with this sketch, like I said, I love that it's just this panel that you're left with, that you can stamp. You could put die cuts on this panel. You can make this whatever you want it to be. And I originally thought I would be doing something with hearts, because I was really into Penny Black's new love themed collection. And so, excuse me, so I had cut the line of hearts die cut for that left side for the border part. And I found when I stamped one of my panels with some roses, that it had a much more sort of natural, elegant feel. So I did go back and change the border on that particular card. So I think it's nice to know when you're making your cards, if you prepare your envelopes in advance, don't feel like you have to use it exactly as you prepared it. It's just paper. And so if you want to switch it up, make a decision like, oh, when I put this right here, I don't know that I like those hearts with roses. You can just go to your stash and pick something else out. That's what I did. I grabbed our cross stitch border die and just switched it out for that one card in particular. So, and then another thing I wanted to mention is I prep the sketch envelopes, but I also store my dies in just simple basic envelopes. And when I'm done working with a sketch, if I have any pieces that are left over, so I had left over that line of hearts die, I just went back and put it into the envelope where I store the die. So next time, if I'm using them in a sketch or using them on a card, I'll open up that envelope and I won't even have to cut them. So I don't feel like it's a waste either. I'm not throwing it away. I'm just putting it back for use another time. I added a little bit of green here underneath them, some grass. They're standing outside looking up at the birds, so I thought green would be appropriate. And then I'll just finish off here by adding a touch of shading to their shoes. Now for the border side of this card, I'm going to take the Faded Jeans Distress Ink Reinker and I'm going to paint this. I wanted it to match the painting on the card. And sometimes blues are kind of hard to match, like with cardstock. And also when I prep everything in advance, I can just cut everything from white and then go back and add the color to match as I make the cards. So I'm just painting that on there, and then once it's dry, I'm going to just add a little inking on top using Faded Jeans. Distress ink using an ink blending tool and a foam pad, and I'm also going to lightly pat that on top of the line of hearts. So I'm creating just a tone on tone background. So the panel that's stamped has a lot going on. So the border part, I want it to be kind of like a texture, a visual texture, but not colorful. And so that is why I did just a tone on tone look for that. So if you have a border die and it's kind of busy, remember you can just use it tone on tone and it will be more like a texture. Or for this border element, you could just use an you could use an embossing folder to add a texture over there. It's just enough to give the card a finished look and to tie into a color that you may have used on your stamping. So I've popped this panel up with foam tape and I'll just put that right on top and the card is complete. So let's take a look at all three cards I made using this sketch. There's the one that we just finished. Here's the one where I changed that border design to our cross stitch border, and I really love this card. This is my favorite one of this set of three. I'd love to know what's your favorite. I also really like this one too. And so there I've used that line of hearts again and another image of the cute couple. So here are still shots of each card that we created using this sketch, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you ring that bell notification so you are notified when the next video comes out. And remember, you can keep connecting and getting inspired with Penny Black on our Facebook page, Pinterest, Twitter, as well as Instagram, our website, and blog, and everything is linked for you down in that YouTube description box. Thanks for watching and happy stamping!